we have to talk about Ja Morant. Last episode, we did one thing we learned about every single team. And in that episode, I talked about how Ja Morant, I'm kind of concerned about the style of play that he's kind of developed into. And when I say developed, I mean like the absence of development, how we've kind of seen his rim pressure go down year by year. The jump shot isn't here. The team's kind of mediocre around him. Felt like they're going nowhere fast. And we kind of had a come to Jesus moment talking about where we're at with Ja Morant as a star. Well, the day after we recorded that, he got suspended for one game because apparently they had a game where they played the Lakers and he seemingly quit on the team in the second half, wasn't putting in full effort. The coach called him out after the game. He responded with, quote unquote, a tone that was deemed inappropriate. So it sounds like he said, fuck out of my face. I'm not trying to hear all that.
Yeah.
And they suspended him for one game for conduct detrimental to the team. And that has led to endless discourse now in the last 2 or 3 days about should this team trade Ja Morant or not even should they? The real question is, are we just on a path that obviously ends with Ja Morant being traded?
Of course. Of course. I think if you ask me right now and you say, hey, Ja Morant has, because what is this? This is year 6 of Ja Morant. Ja Morant has 9 more years, 15-year career. Does he spend the next 9 years in Memphis? I say no. I don't think it ends up that way. And we've already had one instance last year of we picked you over the coach.
Yes.
This is the new coach. We are not 10 games into the season. You are beefing with the new coach. We're going to get to a point where we start saying, hey, man, it's you, right? Where you start looking around at everything and you start saying that it is Ja Morant's fault. And this stuff like this and stuff like what happened is very controllable. From a certain player, and whether or not it's fair of whether he should have been told this and in the manner that it was or in front of whoever it was, it doesn't matter. You are the best player on this team. You are the franchise player, and seemingly quitting on your team again, not 10 games into the season. That's just a bad look.
Yeah, and he got suspended for what is, I'm pretty sure, a behind the scenes conversation in the locker room with the coach. And then this obviously happened in the media, a separate incident in the same hour-long span where they asked him a question about what they should do differently to stop the Lakers in the same way that they lost. If they saw that again, how would they go about defending it? He said, go ask the coaching staff. Then when asked what could have been done differently, other than ask the coaching staff, he said, according to them, probably don't play me. The vibes are at an all-time bad. This is just, I don't even know how to describe this other than bad vibes. Like, this is the definition of bad vibes. You are just bringing the whole mood around your team down. And I think maybe some people make too much of it. Maybe some of us overlook it. It's obviously important to be the vibes leader as the best player in your team making $40 million a year.
I think we're witnessing the end of an era, or at least the end of a superstar era that Ja Morant once was on just a couple years ago when he was averaging 27 points a game, when the Memphis Grizzlies were the Memphis Grizzlies, and also Dylan Brooks were the face of just this tough, gritty, annoying out the mud Memphis Grizzly team. And since then, everything has been on the decline, whether it be the off the court stuff, whether it be him and the constant injuries that he's been faced with over the last few years. Nothing's good right now. And I think that slowly, when it comes to the play style of how a lot of teams tend to or are veering towards currently, it's starting to look like his expiration date when it comes to being prioritized as the main talent, while also not necessarily being the best rim finisher in the league anymore, or not necessarily making your presence at least bare minimum felt in the paint anymore, is going to hell. And with that all happening all at once, you're being prioritized less as the main piece.
Yeah, like I said, we talked about this on the last episode of the show, the day before this Lakers game. I implore you to go back and watch that Grizzlies section of our episode 165, because the fact that we had this conversation a day before this happened, we got in depth about on the court why it feels like the Ja Morant approach is less effective these days. That's a whole conversation, right? So on the court, there's reasons to be concerned about him being the best player on your team, specifically concerned about him being the main scoring and playmaking engine of your offense. That feels like it has diminishing returns. He can still play some more and be extremely impactful, get back to all-star level. I'm just concerned about really making him the number one engine. If he could play next to a player a little bit better than him and focus more on playmaking and not be so relied upon in the half court, obviously there's still a path to Ja Morant being a very, very good, impactful player that can contribute to winning championships one day. That's not out the question. But everything else, when you combine those already small question marks that could find a best case scenario where he's still effective, then you add the off the court stuff and you add all that, we get to where we are now, where apparently there has been reportedly tension between John Morant and the head coach over the past several days, and teams are now monitoring the situation. So according to Shams, there is active motion behind the scenes of teams thinking this may end.
And I 110% believe it. Like, yo, you know how crazy it is to get suspended from your own team? Over the last few years, the only times I remember that happening is very much last year when the Miami Heat were like just constantly suspending Jimmy Butler.
That's exactly what this feels like. Precisely what this feels like.
I think year before that, not to this degree, but Dylan Brooks was fucking just suspended from the Houston Rockets over some goddamn bullshit.
Someone said Isaac downgrading guys to secondary creator might be the new of the world from Mo. I'm glad you said that, because that is actually a thing I tweeted about that this fully is a pattern that I'm sensing a lot. We've talked about this with him. We've talked about it with Trae Young. We've talked about it with LaMelo Ball. I think we're going to see an era where a lot of these lead guards that I think their play style was kind of inspired by that era of James Harden, Damian Lillard, Steph Curry to some extent, having these guards that are the main scorers and playmaking engines of their team. We saw we saw a whole era of guards kind of play like that, where they're not quite heliocentric because they're not Luka, they're not built like that, but they really are the end all be all they're playing through. I think we're going to see a shift away from that, because it just doesn't lead to great offense a lot of these times. I think he's a perfect example.
Yeah, I feel like that's already been the case over the last few years. In order to be like a high level
100%.
electric guard, you have to be one of the best shooters or passers in the goddamn world.
Yeah, and I think the Hawks know that. That's why they're trying to empower Jalen Johnson. They would like that to happen. Trae is still their leading scorer, but I think if they had it their way, Jalen Johnson would average 25. He's just not quite there yet. They obviously, before the last coaching staff, wanted this for John Morant. That's why they empowered Jaren Jackson in the other system. Then that didn't work out. Guy got fired. So obviously teams are sensing this. And I say that like it's a big overarching thing. I'm very focused on these few guys, but I just think you will see if John Morant were to get drafted today, I think they would make it a point to try to find a major scorer to play next to him.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think it's a little bit interesting though, because he's a decent passer. He's fine, right? But I would never look at John Morant and be like, point guard, like traditional point guard, right? And also, like, that's kind of just the way that, if you look at like the history of the league, it's been like Steph, Chauncey Billups, Isaiah Thomas, and like there's a very, very short list of point guards who are 6'4" and under being the best player on your team that's actually doing everything. So I do agree with you. It's also just like John's in a different category though, because of the off the court stuff.
Someone said, is Shea just an anomaly then? Yes, him and Luka are an anomaly because they are two of the greatest players to ever live.
Shea's also not 6'3". Shea is 6'6".
Exactly.
Like, he's
more of a shooting guard. He's closer to Kobe, Jordan, Anthony Edwards, that archetype. He just happens to be the lead guard in his team. Luka is the outlier. Luka is the guy that can play hard and ball. The rest of that guys of this era that you mentioned, not a lot of teams have been successful with players of this size and the best player. 100% right across history. I think because the game was very different back then, they didn't really try that very often. I think the 2010s into 2020s probably saw the most amount of teams try to play that way. And I just think now we'll go back a little bit towards the other version.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And then going back to what you said about Ja being flawed as a first option, bro, he's even flawed as a second option, which makes it even like
tough,
harder to try to figure out what second or what main star you want to build around him with, or at least use him as an adjacent piece, because like we all know playmaking tends to be one of the more underrated aspects of his game, and with how their offense is being ran, he's not allowed to showcase that as much or be prioritized as that. And then when it comes to his all around like deficencies when it comes to the shooting, I think so far this year he's shooting 15% from the 3-point line.
Yeah, it's not great. And honestly,
it's terrible.
And for real, we can have, and we had the conversation last episode. We can have it right now. None of that really matters because 2 minutes ago, what you said in terms of you're just bad vibes.
Yeah.
That is the ultimate biggest thing. And I think like the closest or the most that we should talk about his play is in relation to you are not this good to be acting like this. Like you cannot be out here doing the things that you do, moving the way that you move when you are not like Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves. I've said repeatedly, they have taken the spot that the Grizzlies were, right? Like they were the young team with the very fun young star that was ascending and doing all this and going to conference finals. The Memphis Grizzlies have one playoff series win in basically the entire time that John Morant has been there, they've been lapped by everybody. They have not won enough. He has not been good enough to do any of this. And even with how much the Grizzlies have stuck by him through not one but 2 suspensions because he was brandishing weapons online, right? Yeah. Doing all of that stuff, and the team still being like, "No, you are our guy."
Yeah.
To be out here moving like this it's ridiculous.
Another thing about Ja too, and you've had your own personal experiences that can maybe attest to what I'm saying.
We're not gonna get into that.
And you've seen like just how things have played off the court too when it comes to, again, like random stuff that he's dealt with off the court. I think we're also witnessing how much like of athletes have egos. That's nothing to be shocked about. That's normal. But with the level of ego that someone Ja like appears to have when it comes to being the face of the team and organization and whatnot, I don't see him. It's very hard for someone like him to average 27 and 7, be top 10 in MVP votes back in 2022 or whatever year it is, and now you're being asked to like be deprioritized and kind of just see the death of your ego.
I think it goes. I think that goes to show you how difficult it is to be the face of a franchise for a team. It's not always just about ability. It's about ability, desire to continue to improve, availability to be able to keep improving, keep developing, the mindset to be the leader of a franchise, and like take the unfair criticism that comes with that. Like the whole gun thing, that was legal. He wasn't in the wrong necessarily in terms of like what's actually allowed in the world, but there's a different standard when you're an NBA star leading a franchise. You have to be okay with that, not take that criticism and then like lash out because of it like he did. He obviously didn't take that well ever. There's so many combined factors that go into having the position he had and maintaining it. And I think just a lot of those things outside of the play, really including the play that we talked about, he just hasn't really been there for.
And so now, like if you're Memphis, because especially after both of the gun incidents and both of those suspensions, you made the choice like it doesn't matter, you're still our guy. We're gonna continue on with this core of you, Bane, Triple J, and then we'll see what happens. You've already moved off of Desmond Bane. You've signaled to the world that, hey, we're kind of open and our situation is very, very fluid. I don't really know what to do. If you were Memphis right now, would you trade him?
Well, I don't know. So there's multiple factors here. Everything we're talking about, it makes sense to trade him if you're just sick of this experience, right? We can't really know, I think, how much appetite they have for this. When there's smoke, there's fire. So clearly it's causing some rift. Other part is, as we see by this report, which I don't know if it's more speculation, an informed speculation by Brian Windhorst, but he says or thinks he's not expecting a robust trade market if the Grizzlies were to shop him. That probably makes it hard to trade him. You don't really want to get rid of him for nothing. I saw someone make the comparison that might have to be like when the Mavericks traded KP and they basically just dumped him and split him into 2 smaller salaries and made them a little more flexible. If that's the type of trade, probably not. You might as well keep running it back. You've already fired one coach. You're invested in him. You have no real path forward outside of that. So you might as well keep it running. And there is an element that I saw a lot of Grizzlies fans talking about this. The city does love him. He is a big part of the franchise. Like the fans aren't giving up on him. So if you were to do that, you would be ripping an era to shreds and like just deciding it's not worth it for us as a franchise when I don't know if the temperature of the team in this small market is ready for that.
Oh yeah, best believe if you trade John Morant, you're going back to Vancouver. You're not allowed in the States no more.
Yeah, it would be. It would be it's not a Luka situation. They wouldn't be like outraged like that, but I think it would be a hard pill to swallow for their fans.
And that's fair. But like, I could go to a Memphis game or I can watch. You can just watch what is going on with the Grizzlies like this from afar and be online and just be like, damn, you live like this? Like that's tough, right? I would hate to be in this situation where even the last time that we saw Ja and him like feeling good. One, there was another like fine and suspension because of the new celebration, and then afterwards, they were getting ran off the floor in a playoff series against the Thunder, where there were moments in that series early on in that series where it looked like Ja quit, and so I get it. It's your guy. You drafted him number 2 overall. It was supposed to be like him and Zion going number 2. And up until this point, he's been better than Zion. So like you kind of feel like you have a win there. But if you finish this season, especially with how competitive the West is, and you are the 9th seed, and you get 60 games of Ja, a bunch of them taken away from either suspension or injury every other night. And to his credit, he was playing a majority of these first, 6 games. But if that is ultimately what your life is going to be for the next 3 to 4 years, and you know, okay, we'll be in the play-in, we'll maybe get up to the 7th seed, we'll play Denver or OKC in the first round, losing a respectable 5.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would want to do that.
And I think the Memphis Grizzlies are a very smart organization. I think they're if I was to like have a ranking of top 10 smartest front offices, I would 100% put the Grizzlies there, just based off of all the smart out of edge moves that they've made over the last few years.
I would agree.
And I think this team specifically would be smart enough to do what you said, which is just be middling, be somewhat relevant or whatever, have a nitty gritty 5-game playoff series or 6-game playoff series or whatever it might be, and just stick it out for the next year, maybe 2 years. And the second that his value seems the highest, or if there's like a clear outlet to go ahead and trade him, do that. Like, get rid of him when his value is the highest. Because right now, you're right. Like, there's no team that would really trade for him and like give up any real assets in the back end.
Yeah, they're certainly considering it, right? Like you said, they're a smart front office. They understand everything we're saying, that on paper, it makes total sense to get rid of him and rip the Band-Aid off for the leadership reasons, for the on-court product, for the team just not being good enough, and there's no path to them being good enough. Like, it totally makes sense. I guarantee you they're thinking about it. But I also think it's probably not as simple as some people were like, get him out of here, trade him.
Yeah.
Just for, like you said, timing reasons, value reasons. Like, it's not an easy choice like people are making it out to be.
No, it's not. And especially when the fan base is like super connected, like I do get it. And you're in this new experiment where even if the vibes are wrong, you still want to see if it's gonna work, right?
Yeah.
You still want to see, like,
It is only 6 games. After all.
we can get to Christmas and we'll be okay.
That's the point. If this is this bad and like the vibe stuff doesn't get any better and they're just still having issues with the second coach by Christmas, he's cooked. If this is the case by January 1st, I will be up here saying I'll be shocked if he doesn't get traded.
110%. Like, because at that point, if that's the case, then what are you gonna do? Fire your assistant coach who was then brought up to be the head coach? You can't do that.
Fire the GM. Just keep finding people that are not John Morant to blame.
Yeah, that's OD. You can't do that at all.
Jared Jackson Jr., you're traded. Like, it's like, what did I do?
We already Desmond Bain had to die for this already.
It's
Like,
like, what did I have to do?
we're looking around, we're finding bodies to drop.
Yeah, exactly. And I think regardless of the situation for Memphis Grizzlies fans, like, you have to understand this is probably not going to be the best version of your basketball team. The best players on your team who you hope to carry you to a Western Conference Finals or whatever it is. Some players may be here, but you don't have like the guy necessarily yet. But you're very well in position to do that because they have like 5 first-round picks or maybe 4 first-round picks from the Orlando Magic. And you have so many assets around that. You have a star rookie and Cedric Howard as well, who's making noise. Jaren Jackson Jr. still there as well. Like,
go get the
you got
job
pieces.
whisperer, right? There's always like
Therapy.
The job whisperer. There's like the job stopper, right? Somebody who can fix him or who can stop him on the court. The only person who is able to get into the mind of John Morant and keep him level is somebody who is crazier than him, and that's Dylan Brooks. You have to go get Dylan Brooks.
Honestly, you're right.
Also, I saw the tweet. You remember when they let Dylan Brooks go and they were like, Dylan Brooks will not be brought back to this organization under any circumstances.
Yes.
I was like, yo, that's so ridiculous.
And he's been great. I really want him in the Lakers. Like, Dylan Brooks is one of the more promising assets from that era.
Yeah.
He's going to be on winning teams for a while. They're surely going to trade him.
Yeah, that's what they need. They need, again, someone who will set the tone. You need someone who will go ahead and build back your culture and get the dude who started it with John Morant.
Someone in
and
the chat said, honestly, I like the trio of Cedric Howard, Jalen Wells, and Zach Edey more than the duo of John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. That is what I call terminal NBA nerd brain. Because I totally see what you mean. If you have a team led by those 3, you're fucked. You're going nowhere fast. I do like those players a lot. I love that as a supporting cast.
Yeah.
But like, if we're gonna trade Jaren and John Morant, we got to find some stars to lead those guys.
That's nasty.
Also, if I'm Brooklyn, I'm picking up the phone tomorrow. Like, I understand I just drafted 18 million point guards. I'm trading 17 million of them. Yeah. Okay, I would do that.
That's a fun thing then. Let's pivot to that real quick before we end the John Morant talk. I'm going to name you some NBA teams. You let me know if you think they should be in the market for John Morant. Okay. So asset, fit, contracts aside, just like, would you want to see them consider a John Morant trade? Do you like the fit in theory on the surface? Miami Heat.
No.
You don't want to see them get their star guard, pair him with Bam, pair him with Tyler Hero.
Bro, they don't even treat Kola Ware right now, and they have him locked up.
If
They got no appetite for malfeasance from their players.
Yeah.
Well, if the Heat traded for Ja Morant, it would be like an episode of Scared Straight. Where Pat Riley's just pulling up to Ja Morant's house every morning.
Suicide.
You better run. Like, that's it.
The funniest thing is the assistant coach that brought in that off-ball, no pick and roll offense last year now works for the Miami Heat, and they're not running it. If we say Ja Morant, you hated this offense last year, we fired the coach because of it, but now we're going to send you to the Heat where you got to do it again, and they're mean. That would just be hilarious.
It's like that video of him with the hand up and then they switch angles.
Yeah.
It's like, but we got you. We got you surrounded,
You
buddy.
can't escape Noah LaRoche.
This motherfucker's Freddy Krueger in your dreams, Ja.
So yeah, I wouldn't like it for
Yeah,
Ja.
I'm out on the Heat.
Wouldn't like it for Ja at all. The relationships would not work there at all. That's not the unless he needs that.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the type of guy that responds to that. So I don't think he does need that.
Not at all.
I think he would hate. He
Not
would
at
hate
all.
Pat Riley. Orlando Magic.
No. Hell no.
No.
They already have their own internal issues that they need to figure out. They already have the biggest Paolo Banchero question that they need to answer immediately. Have to prioritize Franz Wagner. You're trying to get better shooting. Why would you go ahead and draft or trade for a 15% shooter?
Exactly. Every scouting department has their template of what kind of guy that they want in the building. If you are the Orlando Magic, anybody who shoots under 36% from three, you're off the board at this point. We have, like you said, we have too many of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think to do this for this size of a contract, they have to trade one of their most important players, and they just got Desmond Bane. They're not trading Paolo Banchero. If this Orlando Magic front office trades Franz Wagner for Ja Morant, oh my God, we need to storm Orlando. We need to tear things down. That would be the worst trade of all time.
Trading away. Oh my God, Franz. Oh no, they can't do that.
That would be the worst trade of all time. And I don't know how else they would do it. Like, unless you want to have
Paolo?
4 massive contracts, that would be a terrible team construction. Houston Rockets.
That is interesting, but I think ultimately I might say no.
I'm saying no.
Damn, we can't find anywhere that should get him.
Who wants me?
Boston
Nobody.
Celtics.
Oh, no.
Dude,
no.
him and Joe Mazzulla, cinema. I would need to
No.
be a part of those practices.
No.
I would need to see those. I need to see it.
The money would be, again, 4 big contracts counting Derek White. That would be an insane roster construction.
What the hell would Ja Morant and Jaylen Brown talk about? What would their conversations look like?
Speaking different languages.
How upset on a daily basis would Derek White be?
Derek White gets upset. He look like he can't have a bad day.
I would
find a way.
I would say no.
We'd find a way. Portland.
That is very interesting.
Do you want to give up on Scoot and have John Morant come in there, be their point guard of the future?
Okay, so if you asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have said yes.
Okay.
However,
Yes.
due to recent circumstances, I think they have too much going on to bring in some more stuff. I don't think they can handle it right now. We have enough on your plate.
Yo, their PR team is already stressed to the brim.
They're
No
maxed
more
out.
conflict.
we can't do it.
That is a fair point. Timberwolves. Pair him with Anthony Edwards. Get these 2 dynamic creators that can create a paint touch every 5 seconds.
That is very popular.
Get Rob Dillingham over there in Memphis. Give him a chance to get some touches.
Get him a good screener and Rudy Gobert. I might like it, but I think I'm just going to pass on it again.
I think if you do that, you probably have to move Julius Randle. Otherwise, you have too many big contracts.
Or Jaden McDaniels, and I ain't doing
I'm
that.
damn sure not doing that.
No, you would have to keep. You have to keep.
Oh, yeah, Julius would be
McDaniels.
gone.
So even if you traded Randall, I would kind of be okay with it.
Unless you ship Gobert out. But I don't know who wants him at this point to get this old.
Gobert represents too much for your team. He is the backbone of that defense.
Yeah, I think I
He
might
has
do
looked
it, though.
horrible this year. The clock is ticking for Rudy Gobert. He looks slow.
Yeah, I think I would do it because that problem at point guard is so glaring,
Yeah.
and you know that like Ant can be good enough, but I don't want him to. I don't want to force Ant to be in a Devin Booker situation where we get to next year and now we're like, hey Ant, you developed a 3-point shot. You're working on your post game. Play point guard for us.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
I think the logistics are complicated for the Timberwolves. You have to get rid of one of your really expensive bigs. I don't know how that would work. But on paper, being next to Anthony Edwards is probably the best case scenario for John Morant. That's probably like the one place we can send him that I think would be good for him.
Yeah, and that would relieve so much stress off of Anthony Edwards. He would give way more effort. Not to say he's bad defensively, but he could be legitimately like one of the best defenders because he has some like John Morant literally handling out the pick and roll offense and being offense within his zone. That would change Anthony Edwards' life. But I wouldn't want to see it though.
Phoenix Suns. Do you think they want to restart this rebuild real fast again?
I would do it, and I think if I'm the Suns, they for sure have already had 3 meetings about it.
They're dying.
think
to
Matt
trade-
Ishbia is
they're
just in
dying to
Zoom
send some
calls?
picks out.
Mind you, one of them has just been in Ishbia's head. I'm sure he's talked to himself about it plenty of times, but I would do it. I would. I think that they are, at this point, what do we have to lose? Like,
What are you trading for, Ja, though?
I don't know.
Nothing. It doesn't matter. You're right.
I'm not talking about the Suns' assets.
I
That's a
would-
real
I would do
conversation.
Yeah.
I would try it.
Sacramento Kings. Do you want to see them bring John Morant in, pair him with Sabonis?
Why not? What do you have to lose? Yeah.
I want to see them do the opposite of this. I want to see them ship all their good players elsewhere. If they get John Morant, you're sending him to hell. You're sending John Morant to Sacramento to die slow.
And if I'm Memphis at this point, it's like, hey, man, we had our time, but I got to let you go.
Yeah, I would do that.
If you really love me, you'll come back, you know. But if I was Sacramento, depending on who I was giving up, yes. But
It doesn't matter. What do you have to like
That's-
hold
that's-
on to?
That's
You have
also
nothing.
true. And we talk a lot about, dang, like, can you really just live like this? I can't live this entire season
But you have
with
to-
DeRozan and Levine hoops again. I can't do it.
Yeah.
The
okay.
alternative, Ja isn't the only other option there. We can do some other stuff besides DeRozan, Levine, and Ja.
But you know that they always try to trick themselves into thinking that they like can be sneaky competitive.
Yeah.
And so they're like, listen, Ja, Keegan Murray, Sabonis,
They've seen this story before.
8 seed.
Someone said Sacramento is the shadow realm. Facts. Rims
It
tremble
really
in fear
is.
when Giannis and Ja come to the paint. Would you trade Ryan Rollins for John Morant straight up?
Right now, that's crazy. But I would tell you no.
All things considered, I don't know. All factors at play. I'm not
Honestly,
sure. Oh, I say that's the kind of a half joke. But
Yeah.
do you have one all-in move with this Giannis thing to try to save him staying? John Morant's not where I'll push those chips in.
That's not worth it at all. I'm good.
We're looking real good with a lot of shooters. This is not the player I want to put next to him.
exactly. I have a good shooter making $4 million. Why would I trade for a non-shooter making 45? I'm
Nope,
not
nope,
doing
nope.
this.
Nope. I want anybody else, actually.